Welcome to Directors and Donuts, or as today is called, DPs and Donuts.
Still works. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Hey, my name is Justin Wiley. I'm a DP, and I am the technical director here at Gear 7 Shift and Arc. And I am pumped to have my friend Diego here, and we're going to talk about not all things DP. Otherwise, we'd be here for like 3 days. But we're going to talk specifically about advancing through the industry, kind of like if your goal is to be a DP, or really you can pick some knowledge from progressing through the industry in a lot of different ways. Just some good tips and tricks, and just really how it's never the same for anybody, and to like find some peace in that.
Yeah.
But we're going to kind of chat through that and chat through Diego's story. So, Diego, how did you get here, and where did you start?
You want the full story? I was born,
Everything.
and then I learned how to walk, that kind of story? Okay.
All of it.
So I'm originally from, I was born in El Paso, grew up in Mexico City, which is not the conventional little backstory, you know. So I grew up in Mexico City all my life. Both my parents are journalists. And so I think I attribute that a little bit into influencing my interest into filmmaking. Not necessarily being in front of camera, but like being around them and being interested in them. My dad always had cameras, so I would always steal them, you know, and try to do things. Hence that beautiful photo of me with the love handles.
It's real good.
Working on getting that physique back for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, just grabbing his camera, grabbing my friends, shooting whatever we could, you know, like grab little BB guns and go shoot each other and call it a movie, you know?
Yep.
So I think that really sparked my interest. My mom was also very much like, let us watch anything, and she always forced us to watch them, you know, watch movies in English and with Spanish subtitles, and I attribute learning English through movies. So I think like all that combined, movies were always kind of like embedded in my life, and just kind of, or filmmaking in general, into what I wanted to do. So at 12, I was like, this is what I want to do. You know, I picked up a camera, played guns and shooting things with my friends, and I was just like, this is it. This is for me, and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I always thought it was weird that, like, you know, kids get to college and even out of college, and they still don't know what they want to do. I'm like, man, what's wrong with you? What do you mean? And then it wasn't until later that I realized, like, oh no, I was the weird one for knowing. You know, I feel like it is very rare to know what your purpose is so early on.
Yeah.
So essentially did that. Came to the U.S. when I was 18. I started working in Univision. I got a little internship there. I learned how to do tape-to-tape editing, you know, learned to operate a jib and do like a newsroom all by myself. Like I had to learn the program by myself, and you know, all right, camera 1 is going to go into over the shoulder, and then camera 3 is going to go into commercial, so I got to get ready for the jib shot. So did a lot of that, and then went to college in Florida. And yeah, I mean, I think that from after college, it sparked kind of my whole journey into the actual professional world of, you know, coming to Nashville and starting the grind really of you know, working in this industry.
Nice transition to more photos.
Nice transition. It's almost like I studied my own.
You did.
So I moved to Nashville after college, and I mean, I didn't know anybody. I came here just like winging it, honestly. I followed a friend who claimed to have friends and connections here. I got here, and that same friend was like, peace, I'm going to leave for somewhere else. I'm not going to stay here. And I was just like, what do I do now? So really, for me, the hardest thing was how do I get my feet on the ground? How do I get the ball rolling? How do I get people to hire me and like know who I am? So basically what I did is I just spammed production companies. I just literally went on Google, sent emails out like, hey, I'm such and such, I'm looking to get in the industry, looking for an internship, looking for work as a PA, I'll do whatever. I think I made it my goal to send like at least like 50 emails a day or something like that.
Dang.
Directors, you know, producers, like anybody I could find online. And I think Instagram was still not that huge, so it wasn't like let me just look at Instagram.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did that. And I think I only got like 2 responses out of the probably thousands that I sent. And I started interning for a company here called Revolution Pictures. It was an unpaid internship. No, I wasn't making a dime out of it. And then I started interning for another photographer. So I was doing 2 internships at the same time, both unpaid. But they both offered me like, hey, there's going to be food on set. There's going to be crafty and whatever. And I did what anybody would do.
You got a deal.
And be like, all right, cool. I'm going to take this with me. So yeah, I mean, it was that. And then that kind of put me on set. And I made it my mission to just be like, you know what, I'm just going to like hustle, and just kind of not let this town defeat me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there was definitely a lot of times where, I was Ubering in order to pay rent, and then I was grabbing food off a set. I was, living off coupons essentially for a couple of years, until I got enough steady work to be like, okay, you know what? I know this guy puts his all into on set. So I got one call and then another call and then another call, pretty steadily until I basically made a living out of it. I knew the way I reasoned it in my mind was like, okay, if I need $2,000 to survive this month, which now it's impossible, but if I need $2,000 to survive, I need 10 jobs or 11 jobs or whatever it is a month to survive. So that's kind of how I did math in my head and did all that. So I PA'd for a few years, just grinding. There's tons of, horrible stories I could tell about that. And it was very eye-opening because obviously it's your first exposure to set. You kind of figure out like, you know what, this is a good set. This is a good person that runs this set. This is a bad set because this person didn't bring this or forgot that or this got broken or the DP and the director are now fighting. Whatever it is. It was a good exposure to that. But honestly, what really helped me a lot, I knew I wanted to be in camera. So what I really noticed was, or I made my mission was like, I'm going to observe the camera guys and see what they need. Even though I could just be in there and be like, oh man, do you want me to change your battery for you? Or you want me, nobody wants that. Even though they appreciate somebody asking, but really what they need is somebody to hand them water, somebody to look after them. Because, working in the camera department, it's really hard sometimes to step away to have a bathroom break or a water or whatever. So I made my mission to take care of the camera guys. So I was working in a feature, and then there was I was taking care of the camera guys as well as doing all my other PA duties. And one of the weeks, a camera operator, not a camera operator, I think it was an AC. He got fired, and for whatever reason, and production couldn't afford to hire anybody else, so they adopted me into the camera world, and that really was what started the whole camera journey.
There you go.
So, yeah, I mean, just off of that movie, met 4 or 5 ACs, and then those it was a 2 camera show, so it was 2 firsts and then 2 seconds, and out of those, one person would hire me for one thing, one person would hire me for the other, and then I met another AC, and it just same thing as PAing. It's just how do I do that? And then just became an AC. So I just kind of basically stopped taking PA work. I said, I'm done PAing. I'm done doing runs, and I'm done doing those things, making $150 a day, make a little more money, thankfully. I mean, and then the AC world really is what I think was very formative for me, because I got to do so many things. I think I got to work with a lot of people, a lot of DPs, different DPs, and learn under them, learn how they do things, and I got to observe things I wanted to do myself, I didn't want to do myself, DPs that I liked, who I knew were good people, and DPs that were just complete D-bags that I didn't want to be, associated with. And then not only that, I got a lot of good opportunities to, get my hands into traveling. I traveled all over the world, Argentina, Jordan, Mexico, Haiti, you name it. How to do all that, and then also just with 3 people, how do I take 25 cases and 3 people and go to Russia and then come back in a week, we would go out and then just be like, all right, cool, it's 3 of us, how we're gonna make this work, and you're gonna second AC / DIT/sound/this/that, and then you're like, okay, cool, but I'm get to do it in Russia and sweet, you know.
Yeah.
Not that I ever want to go back to Russia.
Yeah.
But but no, it was great. I mean, it was a great part of my journey, I think, and it taught me a lot, and it exposed me to a lot of things too, as well as like different pieces of equipment.
Oh yeah.
Like camera cars, you know, motorized arms, stuff like that. Stuff that I was able to learn from, and not necessarily take the risk of like, I'm DPing this. I'm just having to come here and let that guy take all the risk, because if he knows how to do it or not, that's his own problem.
Yep.
But learn it and just be like, you know what, if I learn the skill, I can bring it with me later. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to work from everything from reality TV, which nobody wants to do, to documentary, to TV, to movies, to whatever. I think at least here in Nashville, I got to experience the lowest of the budgets to the highest of the budgets. And I think I wouldn't be able to do that if I was just a DP. I think as an AC, I was able to experience a good latitude of different productions and how hundreds of thousands of dollars are spent in one way, and then $20,000 are spent in another way, and then how to make all those work. So yeah, I mean, I think I did that for a few years, and then I think, like everybody, you just get to a point and you're like, you know what, I just want more, you know? So I basically, you know, got a little bit tired of it. My heart wasn't in it anymore. I think I never got to scratch my creative itch as an AC. You do scratch it in certain ways. There's different ways of doing that, of course, you know, how you build a camera and how this and that. But I think I wanted more for sure. And so that really led me to be like, well, how do I make that big transition between ACing and DPing? Because it's a very different thing. It's not like I can just ask, you know, my director friends like, oh, hey, can you hire me now as a DP? Which, I mean, kind of, but really was more about like proving myself. Really was more about like nobody's gonna give me that opportunity. That's what I figured out. Yeah. So how do I make that opportunity for myself? How do I say, you know what, I can do this, I can handle this, I can, you know, how do I prove myself? So me and one of my best friends decided, you know what, we're just gonna make our own movie. We're just gonna do it. So it was a journey. It was a very long journey of like 3 years. Our movie was called Fronteras. He started the writing process from 2016 and all the way through completion, meaning pre-pro, shooting, editing, releasing, distribution, everything, all the way up to 2019. And that was really what changed my whole like mindset about everything, because you know, I brought everything that I had learned from PAing, working under producers, how they manage budgets, you know, in the AC world, how to take 7 people, go out into the desert and like just do it, you know? Right. So we did this movie for $72,000, I think. You know, the whole time I was making money as an AC, I would just be like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna go eat on coupons on Burger King and just like 2 for $20 kind of thing, and save the other burger for later. All to just like every single cent that I could, just put it into that movie. And the best part of that is that, you know, I also got to learn another aspect of this industry, which is the distribution world, which is insane. Yeah. Because once we completed the movie ended up on Netflix, ended up on Amazon, DVD, like everywhere. And I mean, we're proud of that. I mean, it's not the best movie in the world, but we didn't go out to make the best movie in the world. We just made out to make a movie and see it through. So yeah, I brought the little trailer.
Let's watch the trailer
that we did back then.
When you give up everything except that one thing that you really care about, you're able to be the very best at that one thing. Protected from anything that comes in its path. That one thing for me is country.
Reyes, this is Ivan Sloan. We just transferred here from Texas.
It's a Mexican doing in Border Patrol.
Chicago cartel's brought something new to the States.
I'm here to make sure that this nasty shit doesn't get into our country.
You'd be helping to put a stop to that.
What the hell is this?
You're gonna have to pick up on some things if you want to stick around.
Something's going on that needs to stay between us right now.
I know how you feel about these people, and I understand why. These monsters will take everything from you that they can possibly get.
They're not monsters.
We run a different kind of show around here. Nothing makes sense to you.
Where exactly are they from, sir?
We live in a time where the sun doesn't have to go down for bad people to come out. Do not draw a line in the sand with this man unless you're prepared to have him step across it.
This isn't what you and I do. We don't have the training for it. To survive it.
You're a good man, Reyes. You stand up for your values and your beliefs just as I do.
A lot of people have been caught in your path.
If you get in my way, I will run you over. It's what the people don't see that keeps the country safe. Unfortunately, now you've had to see those things.
That's a whole real movie.
This is a movie. Thank you. So, I mean, I think that was honestly a big eye-opening. Like I said, I got to bring in everything that I'd learned from everything that I'd done up to that point, and more, honestly, because the biggest thing that I took away from that is my friendships that I'd built over the course of that whole time was really the people that I called on to be like, hey, do you want to donate a month of your life, go to Arizona, live there for a month for free, we'll give you food, we'll give you whatever, just to make this movie. And thankfully, I had really good friendships and relationships to do that. And because I did that, it was very important for me and for my director friend to make sure that experience was as amazing for us as it was, to them. So we knew we had to keep a light set.
Yeah.
We realized, the only way everybody walks away with a good experience is just to give them one. And on it, we made it our goal to have fun on set. We made it our goal to, everybody just kind of have a good attitude. And I think that was a huge thing, because there's been so many times where especially on those, I feel like on your babies, that things can get overwhelming. Things can get like it's not going right, and I'm spent so much money on this and so much time planning this, is not going how I wanted, and it's very easy to fall on that. And I think if you just gotta remember, like, the people that are doing it with you are doing it because they love you. They're not getting anything out of it. They're not getting paid. They're probably not even getting the creative, like your ACs, your gaffer, or whatever. They're not getting like the creative, I guess, credit. They do get a credit, but you know what I mean. Like they didn't make it. They can't put it on their reels or whatever. So I think they're just doing it out of love to you. So the way you do that is, just kind of thank them for their time and make it a pleasant experience. And I think that's something I've taken with me even to this day. I try my best to, every set I'm on, try to make it an enjoyable experience. Mm-hmm. Make sure my ACs, my gaffer, all walk away with a good experience. They all know, like, oh yeah, that guy was not a D-bag. I want to work with him again.
Yes.
So I think it's a super important thing to know, just attitude-wise. I think that'll just get you more work. It'll attract more work, to you, just knowing that you have a good personality and you're a good hang. But yeah. That movie was a big deal for us. And thanks to that movie, I just kind of was like, okay, I'm done AC. Now to the next thing, which is, now fast forward to this is just kind of my most current demo reel, and I'll just let Dustin play it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just started calling myself a DP, and just somehow I'm still here.
It's stuck.
Not broke.
Yeah.
Thankfully, not yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's the good thing is that, you know, as you saw, there's a lot of car stuff in there. Because I did a lot of AC, I got to do things that I probably wouldn't have had a first chance, you know, DPing. I got experience with cars and all the camera cars and stuff like that. So it did give me an advantage to I would get in there, play with the wheels. What does this do? What does that do? Being under other DPs and seeing what their process was like to coordinate that. And I mean, since I got into that first car, I was addicted. I was like, that's it. I mean, a guilty pleasure of mine is Fast and Furious because, well, one, they're so fun. Two, I think to me, in my dream world, is like if I could get to work on one of those and just be in a car. Well, one for, you know, in an AC car, which is, you know, huge if you work on set, all day, just having cars blow up next to you. That's the dream life right there.
That'd be pretty great.
But anyways, so I got to observe a lot of people and see like, well, you know, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, where's it lacking, where's the communication falling through, especially something with like a car, you know. There's a lot of communication that's required. There's a lot of trust, you know, between the different car members. You know, so I think off of that, I was able to see, well, what's lacking? Where is it falling apart? And I was able to get my own little process with it. So I got to do, I brought in like a little example of something we did last year.
Yeah.
You got to operate on that. And when I got brought on board, I decided to put together a little, okay, how do I show my team what I want to do? And I think this is a great example of like anybody can do this. You could translate this to any shoot you want. Just grab some toys, some Legos, whatever you got around you. The right guy, you know. And I've done 2 more of them with them, and I've done these toy things like every time, and it's only gotten funnier. I've used bananas, I've used like all kinds of things just to like get the point across.
And if they go to somebody else and be like, "Where's your video with the toys?
Where's
like,
the guy with the bananas?
Are you a professional or not?"
So yeah, I wanted to show that, and then that's the before, and then just the after. So it's not a one-to-one, but you know, it was a good thing to inform crew and everybody what the shot list drove. The shot list drove everything. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just like a good example of like just anything that anybody can do. Just like learn from other people and take it in, and how to make their own process behind this. This is just how I did it, but people might have different ways of doing it. You know, they might use an apple instead of a banana. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. They might be on a shoot where there's no time to do it.
Yeah,
you just have to figure out how to communicate it on the spot. And you know,
totally.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways for all that for me is just the the need and the necessity to just continue to be curious throughout your career and like look for the opportunities where you're at, to find value where you're at, and the things that you're gonna like, even if it's the most boring set, the most stressful thing, and be like, okay, well, if I'm just gonna throw today in the trash once we're done, if there's one thing I can keep from it that's valuable, like, what is that? What could be that thing?
Totally.
You know?
I mean, it's so easy to get into that mode of like, you know, whether it's PAing, ACing, DPing, like you're just going by the motions. You're just gonna know just another shoot, just another shoot. And like you said, I think it's great exactly how you put it. Just be curious and just kind of keep learning something. You know, use it as an opportunity to learn a new lens, or learn why does this DP put this here, or why does the production not bring lunch at this time over here but not over there. You know what I mean? Everything. Doesn't matter what your end goal is going to be. You should always just be looking at others and how they're doing it, and you know, take something from it, whether it's good or bad. So I put a couple of like little notes, I guess, just kind of some of the things that I've taken in, you know. So basically, for me, this is more about like how you can succeed at switching roles, or just be good at the one you're in.
Right.
So like we said, you know, learning from good experiences, bad experiences. You know, I think you learn more from the bad ones. You know, I've definitely made mistakes where, you know, I've formatted cards. You know, somehow I'm still working. You know, I've done I've burned bridges by, you know, on accident. You know what I mean? Not really wanting to. You never want to do that.
Yeah.
But because of those things, I did learn, you know, how to handle myself better, how to do when to say no was a huge one. You know, that I think a lot of people go through. You know, showing your worth. Like I said, just, you know, doing the movie was the way I did that.
Yeah.
Everybody can just show their worth, even just being a hustler on set. Just make sure you're that person on set that you really want to impress is taken care of and notices it. You know.
And like being confident in your worth and saying like, you know, not just being like a PA that's like, well, I'm actually a DP, because everybody's going to roll your eyes at you, but like nobody's going to roll your eyes if you're just like, I want to be a DP. How can I learn what's like seeking like relationships? You never want to say like, well, I'm building relationships with you so I can further my career.
Totally.
Because nobody's like, all right. Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
But like in this business, like we all respect each other enough to say like, I want all of my friends to succeed. Everybody that I know and I want, I'm like, and the older I get, now I'm like, it's the middle part of my career now, where I'm just like, I can like impart a little bit of, well, here's the way I screwed up, so maybe don't do that. And if one person's like, oh, okay, why did you do that? Be like, I don't know, just don't do it.
Well, exactly.
And it's just like finding those ways to learn from other people, and really like good people in this industry, and the people you're going to want to be around and build your career with are the ones that are going to want to see you win. They're going to want to like invest as you invest in them, you know, because that's how we all grow as an industry, grow as a generation of filmmakers, to be able to get better, learn from those ahead of us, bring up those coming behind us.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, people want to work with their friends. I want to work with my friends. You guys probably want to work with your friends, and you know, I think you nailed it on the head. Just invest on people. You know what I mean? Invest on your friends. Invest on not just with like their project, like with your time, if you have equipment, if you have whatever you can do to support them, and they'll support you. You know.
Exactly.
And find people you can grow with too. You know, I think that's another huge thing. You know, it would be amazing if you could just reach out to the big guy that you want to work with and be like, yo, what's up? And then he hires you, and then that's awesome. That's great. That's wonderful if that works for you. But I think it's more valuable to also find somebody you can work with, and find somebody that you guys are kind of at the same stage of life, same stage of career, and you both kind of have a similar goals of where you want to go and where you want to be and what you want to do. And the valuable part of that is that you get to learn how they see like their projects, how they think about those things, how do they handle themselves on set, and how do you want to handle, you know, that on set. And I think that just builds trust too, and just the more they trust you, the more you're going to be able to do with creatively, you know. So that was great. And then also, you know, I put in there too, just I've made this just more of like thinking, you know, when you do decide to make that change, obviously, like I said, invest, but committing is a huge one. You know, there's something that probably the hardest part for me.
That's the hardest part for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when you did finally make the decision of, I'm done being an AC, or I'm done being a PA, or whatever, you're basically saying no to money. You know, you're basically saying no to your livelihood, and you're basically saying no to like, okay, well, all the people that used to call me, I'm gonna have to say, sorry, I don't do that anymore, but I do this other thing. Hopefully, you still hire me. You know, but I think the biggest thing about that is committing, because if you're still kind of wishy-washy, you're like, you know, one day you're a PA, and then the next day you're an AC, and then the next day you're a gaffer. It gets very confusing to everybody else.
Right.
Because they're like, well, I thought you were an AC, or you wanted to be an AC. Why are you gaffing? And I think everybody understands that you want to make money, but
Right.
I think it shows your worth a little bit more that you know you're sticking by your guns
Right.
and doing that.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to attract more work that way, honestly. And then just be patient. You know what I mean? It will happen.
Right. Yeah, I think, you know, being patient and kind of knowing, and also leaning on those relationships. Like I think good friends are going to tell you, be like, all right, I think you're ready. I think you can do it. And, you know, could do a whole talk on like how to be smart financially and good financial decisions, which I don't know if I've made any or not, but you know, there's a lot of things looking back now where I'm like, well, if I would have done this, this, and this in this order instead of the order I did them, I would be able to like have made that jump sooner or done things a little differently. And then it's like, so relying on those relationships to help know when to make those jumps.
Right.
And to be able to say like, letting it be a thing that all of your friends are excited about. That like when you're ready to make that jump, people are just like, heck yes. I got your back. I'm going to tell everybody I know. But like, guess what? Diego's not AC anymore. Have you seen that reel?
Well, and then hopefully by then too, you've built enough relationships with them and enough like, I'm so proud of you, dude. Like, yes, go for it. I'm with you. I'm behind you. You know, I'll throw names at you.
Right.
Or even just like you've invested on their project. Hopefully now they invest back on you a little bit. You know.
And I think the example of the movie is kind of perfect to where it's like, it was almost this pre-jump to say like, okay, if I can go take this risk and go do this thing, because most people are going to be like, oh, you're a DP. Okay, let me see. What have you done? What's your stuff? And you're like, well, you're kind of stuck.
Totally.
So then it's just like, okay, well, what are the things you can do with your friends? What are the things you can do on the side? What are the passion projects you can get people on board with?
Yeah.
You know, and then you almost have to be a producer. Gross. But, you know, you kind of have to like, how are you going to do those things? And for me as a DP, like if somebody's like, ooh, do you have any cool ideas for movies? I'm like, no, I really don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, another Star Wars. But if somebody comes to me, like more of a writer or a director, and they like have this thing, and I'll be like, I can take that and run with it.
Totally.
You know? And so then it's so much about relationships and finding those things to just really develop and really, you know, as annoying as it is sometimes, but just build your reel and say like, what do you have to prove for it? What do you have to say? Like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And then that's just easy ammo for your friends and relationships to go to people with money and get you on board to do it. And it's just kind of that like, it's a slow process, but then when you look back, you're just like, oh, that happened faster than I thought it would.
Totally. I mean, the people that I took to my movie were friends from college, and the people that I work with now are people I grew up with. You know, like not like grew up in career wise. You know,
right.
Like Kenny is over there. Kenny was in that photo over there with the cars.
Hey,
Kenny was with me ACing when we were doing the car stuff, and Sean is over there. Sean interned with me at the same time, so we've grown together. Now Sean is a great director. Kenny is as well. So I mean, it's seeing not just my career but their careers grow. It's awesome. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
There's nothing better. Like And like a long time ago, I was like, me and somebody were just sitting around and be like, man, if somebody would just let us direct like the last Harry Potter movie, it would be so good.
Yeah.
It would have been horrible. We would have completely screwed it up.
Yeah.
But just that thought, and then from there, it's just like, you know what? Like, if my career is just this slow, exponential growth, that if just every year it's just a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, like the best DPs in the world are in their 70s.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, that gives me a lot of peace of saying like, I don't know it all. I may never know it all.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That I can just continually be slowly investing, slowly growing, but also still being slowly in a paced kind of way, being intentional about my career and like, what are the things I can do today, this week, this year to like get a little bit better.
Yeah.
Add a little bit more to my reel. Try something I haven't tried before. Work with people I haven't worked with before.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, just having one goal at least a year to get better at or do new things or whatever. I think that's great. And then, I think that the best thing you can do too, as well as, it's you nailed it on the head too. It's such a DP thing. Like, I have no idea, no concepts or whatever, but I can help you develop it. I can help you visualize it. I can help you do this. I mean, that's my role as a DP. So find those friends that are those creatives that are always like, oh man, I'm like, just let me write this down really quick. You know what I mean? I think that's great. But yeah, this last slide is just, I guess, practical tips on set. Just how can you be good at the role you're at? Just be a good time. Just be fun to be around. Nobody wants to travel with somebody they don't like. That's like the ultimate girlfriend test. Like, do you wanna stay with this person? Travel with them. It's the same thing here. It's like if they want to travel with you and spend more than 12 hours with you, you win. You know what I mean? Like, and that's honestly, if you want to build, that's a perfect way as well. If this is your first time traveling with somebody, it's like, oh, we're gonna get to go have dinner every night together, and we're gonna have drinks, and we're gonna like literally spend every hour of the day together. Perfect. You know what I mean?
Even on a commercial that's like an easy 10-hour day, like. If you're an a-hole, 10 hours turns into a really long, exhausting day.
Yeah.
So like every opportunity to just like be a good hang and don't be an a-hole.
Totally. And I think another huge thing too that that I put in there too is stick to your role too. When you are PAing and you're ACing, you want to do those things, even though you probably think you know better, and you probably do than those other ACs or DPs or directors or whatever. Just let them make their mistakes. You just kind of learn from their pitfalls and, let them fall into the cliff. You can help, of course, but don't go in there thinking you're going to save them, or don't go thinking like, show them that you know better. Just kind of be the best at your one role that you're there to do. Just let them do their thing and just let the fire just, happen, and you can just learn from that.
Yep, exactly.
So, I know.
Yep.
Because I feel like it's always annoying too when somebody's like, if it's like if you're a PA, and I did this mistake too. I'm a PA and I'm like super hungry. It's like, oh, can I do this? And oh, I know what that is. And oh, you know what I mean? They think it's great, and it's great that you know that. It's awesome. But also, can you go deal with this right now? Can you go take care of that lockdown because we just had a bogey cross our frame? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
I had one of my early make me humble moments in my career is when I had a DP. He later told me like we were on set doing stuff, and I was kind of like I'd had my new like 7D and like all this stuff, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be so good. And later he told me, ended up being one of my mentors. Later he told me, he's like, I was like, who is this dumb kid showing up in here telling me what we should do, saying, ooh, let's try this and try this. Like, we're on a set, there's a budget, things have to get done, we're doing it this way. And later I was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe that you thought that about me. I'm not that guy, But then I was like, okay, I see exactly what I did.
Totally.
I showed up, and that set didn't have some good distinct roles, because that's also a very helpful thing about bigger good sets is that there's very easy lanes for everybody to be in. And I think there's a ton of value in that. So stay in your lane, but when it's lunch, be strategic about where you sit for lunch. When it's
totally.
When it's, there's a break or you're waiting on Genie to do something. The camera department's just sitting there like sharing memes, like jump in there, like find the cool, easy ways to be a good time, and find those ways to build those bridges.
Totally.
Like
and there's always going to be something to learn, because if you think you know everything, you go hang out with the camera department, and you're like, oh, I know what that is, and I know what this filter is. Well, do you know how to handle a filter? Do you know how to change this? Do you know how to troubleshoot this? Well, no, you don't. You're going to learn those things. They're not hiring you because based on your knowledge. I mean, it helps, but also they're hiring you because you're a hustler, and you're a good time, and all those other things that I think are
exactly
important, so.
Like talent. Skill is teachable. I can teach anybody like how to do a certain thing, or even technical knowledge, but like I can't teach people to be a good time. Can't teach people to hustle. Like, so if you come with those things, I'm way more likely to be like, well, I can teach you those camera settings. I can teach you how to light something. I can teach you the skills and the craftsmanship side of it.
I mean, you nailed it on the head.
There you go.
I think that's it, right?
Well, we're we got some time for some questions. We've got some Zoom questions here we can answer as well. But if you got some questions, we got a microphone around here somewhere. Hey, there it is. So if you have a question in the house, you can raise your hand, and Brooke will bring the mic to you. And while we're waiting on that, here's an online question.
Sweet.
If you could give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be and why?
Oh boy, younger advice to young Diego. Just calm down, dude. It'll come. There's so many nights I still to this day I still stay up at night like, oh, how am I gonna get this and how am I gonna do that? And when am I gonna get this chance and I want to do this? It'll happen. Just calm down. And I still struggle with that too. I'm still beating myself over the head because this didn't go right or I really want this and it's not happening or whatever. Just calm down.
I almost have to have like a daily, maybe hourly reminder some days that our job is fun and we get to play with our friends for money.
Yeah.
People pay us money to play with our friends and play make-believe, and I just
play
have
with
to
toys.
and play with toys, very expensive toys. And I just have to say, shut up, remember that. Everything's going to be fine. We get to have fun for a living.
Yeah.
Any questions in here? Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, juicy. Here we go.
There's a lot. Onset mistake. I'll give you an easy one. The time I formatted a card, it's something you just learn how to handle cards. I wonder if I should give you that specific or just something actually more life. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it's pretty easy. I mean, like I've formatted a card more recently than I would like to admit, because I think everybody's
so it was
done
you
that.
last year.
Yeah. It was me.
No, I think the advice I can give you is, yes, I formatted a card and it's never happened again since, thankfully. Knock on wood.
Because you're not in AC anymore.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's very easy to be in the moment and being so many things are happening so fast.
Yep.
And it's very easy to kind of like let things fall through the cracks. And it's just as easy as having two things in your hand and handing somebody the wrong thing, especially when they look exactly the same.
Yep.
So, that was a big one. And, once I plugged in that card on the computer, it was actually in a Gear 7 shoot, which is funny enough. They still hire me. Plugged it in. I realized what I had done right away. Yeah. And I had to go to the producer and tell them like, so did we just format that card? Yeah, so we're gonna have to reshoot that because I just formatted the last 2 hours of what we just shot. And it was a moment of ownership, just like, it's my fault, my bad. I'm probably never gonna get a call from you, but I did it the right thing. And I think worse would have been that I take but it wasn't my fault, I didn't do this, and try to wash my hands. Like, no, just take it. You know what I mean? Like, I think people are gonna respect you more for that. So.
Yep, can confirm. I was doing like a broadcasting job, and we had 3 days of content where no audio made it onto the record decks.
Rough.
So it streamed just fine. The live audience heard it just fine, but we checked the record decks, and there was nothing there.
That's rough.
It was bad.
Yeah, I'll give you another one really quick too.
I'm just gonna keep doing this till we're out of time.
All the mistakes. The power of saying no. That's a huge one that I learned the hard way. I was doing one of those travel jobs, and we were in the other side of the world. 11-hour difference. And I was going there almost as I was representing the production company a little bit. I was also like the only AC to 2 cameras. I was the DIT, I was the sound, I was the swing. It was one of those where there was a lot of roles put on me. And if I had just said no, a lot of things wouldn't have happened. There was errors where they couldn't find drone footage. Because the person that was doing it was a new drone for them, and they put the wrong card in. Even though it was that person's fault, it kind of falls on me because I'm the line of defense when it comes to that. It was a shoot where the production company had to have a conversation with me afterwards and be like, I think I had another shoot in France or something like that, a week or two later, and they called me and they were like, our confidence in you has shaken. We're gonna have to take you off that job, and that was a blow. That was a hard blow. I mean, not only financially because it was a week of work, but also because it was more of like, you messed up and you're paying the consequences for that. And we realized that we can't trust you, essentially. So I had conversations about it with people that were there, people that weren't there. And if I would have just said, no, I can't do all those things, I can only handle these amount of things, that wouldn't have happened,
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah,
It's very true.
that was a hard one.
Any other questions in the room? Yeah, you're saying it over.
So you both actually talked about how in this industry we're always learning, which I totally resonate with. I mean, you hear interviews with the masters out there, and they're like, I don't know it all.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So
Can you
you're
push the button on that mic?
like, Can you hear me now?
No. Try again. Say your question and I'll repeat it.
How's this?
There it is.
Okay, I'll talk a little louder. Maybe
Perfect.
That's what it is.
Perfect.
Should I start from the top?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. All right. So you both, I think, mentioned that in this creative industry, we're always learning. And I was curious, do you guys still find yourself working with other DPs that you highly respect, and you're just like, I just want to be a fly on the wall. Like, I'll just kind of take a position as an AC or a second or whatever, just to be there and just kind of see their process.
That's a great question.
It ties a little bit to an online question where it's like, if you could go back to a previous role for 30 days, what would it be? Which I think is a great question. But
yeah,
I think there's definitely a lot of like, I don't DP a job that you're DPing.
right.
But I'm a DP, but I still operate. And so
Right.
I'll operate for
Yeah.
other DPs. I'll operate for Diego. I'll operate for other DPs. And I think that side of it is a lot of fun for me. One, because I can have a couple of a shoot every now and then where I have way less responsibility and stress, which is great. But I still get to do what I love. But it's huge to be able to just like constantly be observing and seeing, just sit back and be like, Diego, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
But to where there's also the side of like, as much, even now that I do that a lot less, there's just, you don't have two DPs on a job because our egos are too big, they will explode.
Yeah.
But finding ways to, whether it's just reading articles, listening to podcasts, doing things to listen and find ways of other DPs tackle things and the way they address things. That's my thought on that.
Yeah, I mean, the opportunities haven't come as much as I would like to. I mean, same thing. I've operated for other great guys and girls who are excellent DPs on their own right. There's other mentors of mine who are DPing amazing things now, and they're doing multi-million-dollar things. And the thought has crossed my mind, like, yes, I want to go and just like be a fly on the wall and do this. Life is a little harder now for me.
Yeah.
I have a wife and kid now.
Kids.
But if the opportunity were to show up, absolutely. I have offered it to him, like, hey, if you need an operator, I'm right there for you, or if whatever. So yeah, I mean, I think it is super valuable, and like you said, I mean, in doing your own research and doing your own, I guess, learning of what things work for you. And honestly, part of it too is learning from your own experiences. Like, oh man, wouldn't it be really nice if we had this on set, and then just going online and doing a deep dive on do that, or oh man, it would be really nice if this software exists. Well, maybe there is already a software that does this. I mean, look, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
embracing the nerdy, curious side of what we do. Yeah.
And honestly, too, like this is something I discovered when you become a DP from ACing or another below the line crew member, your work is not as consistent. You're not working every single day. It's a little more spread out.
Right.
Which is great for family, and it's great for all those things, but also is good for giving you that time to be like, you know what, I'm not on set right now, but I'm gonna I do have time to do those, invest in those things. So, yeah.
And knowing like the pre-production work increases dramatically.
Right. Yeah.
Which you actually have to plan ahead outside of like, oh, here's the prep day, I'm going to do that, and then
Yeah.
I'm going to go do the shoot, and then I'm going to go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, if I don't spend time in the weeks leading up to this shoot and have a plan, have a shot list, have things together that I need to have together, I might be able to wing it and pull it off, but everybody's going to know that's what I did.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, let's call Diego instead. He pre-plans things and makes videos with his phone and bananas.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, and going back to that other question of 30 days, what role would I go back to? Honestly, like you know, like you said, operating is the best job.
It really
It's all
is.
the fun, none of the stress. It's
Yep.
like you have all the creative fun, and you get to operate the camera and do whatever, but you don't have to answer to anybody if like you know it does not go in the way it's not supposed to. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going home, and that's it. You know.
Yep.
So.
Somebody's like, I don't like how that looks. Be like, cool, DP's choice. Go talk to him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just
he
doing.
told
He
me
told
to
me to do, man.
underexpose it. I don't know.
Yeah,
you talk to him. But yeah, no, it's great.
Yep. So, any other questions in here? Kenny, let's
Handsome
go.
Kenny.
Wait, did you get it? You push the button. You gotta push it.
It is red. All right, cool. I'm just making sure this is working correctly. No, that's all good. First time caller, long time listener. I was just wondering if you could touch more on your roles when you were in AC and how informative that was for you to become a leader on set. And just kind of, I guess, tying into being a fly on the wall, but
Yeah.
how much that helped you grow and make decisions when you became able to be in that leadership position.
So basically, how first AC helped me be a deep or second AC. Yeah, I mean, it's a great
Yeah.
question. I mean, I think the huge benefit of I think there's you know I don't know if it's mentioned in one of these before, but your first time job on a set could be a PA or a director. Could kind of apply to a DP too if you're really
Yeah.
good at
Yeah.
lying, you know.
Yes.
But I think there's a huge benefit of coming from the AC world because you do get to learn like, okay, how am I going to build a camera? How am I going to put this together knowing we're going to go handheld to sticks to Technocrane to whatever, and how do those things inform you as a DP is that you know exactly what to ask for your
Yeah.
team. Like, you know, hey, I know how much I can push my team. I know how much is too much for them. I know, like, if I
Yeah.
do a 3-camera shoot and with one AC, it's going to really suck for them. We really want this many people, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing. I think I know, the good thing is I also know, I know what they're going through as well.
Yeah.
I know when a 85 mil and a 1.2, you know, little kid running around with no focus mark feels like, you know?
Yep.
And be like, I'm so sorry that I'm doing this to you right
I'm
now.
so sorry, but
you
I know what I'm asking. Yeah.
I'm going to give you a stop, but only a stop.
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know, things like that, it's huge.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think honestly too, it's a good thing to know those things because I think if they recognize that you feel for them and not just throwing them under the fire, you
Yeah.
know, it kind of only builds more trust from them to you.
Yes.
Like
they're
knowing that
way more likely to do it.
Yeah, that they know that you have their back.
Turn that handheld mic off. Yeah.
You know, and you're just not like. I mean, there is going to be situations where, like, you know, I will warn them ahead of time, like, this is going to suck.
Yep.
You've been there.
I think
I'm
we
so
have
sorry.
both told that to Kenny a couple of times.
Yeah, more times than I can count.
Yeah.
But you know, that won't always be because I didn't fight for something first.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's huge. That there's a level of like I know what I'm asking, and I know, and not just the side of like I know how to do everything that you're doing. I may, but I want to empower my team to do it. And so part of that was like, you know, learning to listen as a PA, as a camera trainee, as a second, like listening to the people that are above you and making those choices, you know, observing, seeing how they're making those choices, why they're making those choices. But then like you understanding the pressure and how that decision making kind of tree happens. And as you move up and you become a first, be like, okay, well, I need to make sure that I'm doing these things so that my second has what they need to succeed. And that the camera trainees, if you have them, if you have camera PAs or just regular PAs, like what are the best ways to equip them to succeed? Because if they succeed, I succeed. And then that continues on to say, like as a DP, like how am I making the choices to make sure that my team succeeds? You know, that's camera department and G&E, so that we can pull off what we need to pull off, that I can like come through on what I've promised to the director and production, but mostly so that like what are the barriers I can get out of the way so that my first can succeed. If that barrier is I just need to shut up and close down a stop, that it's not that big of a difference, I need to do that so that my first can succeed and we don't have to do 40 takes and the whole crew's like, oh my God, this first is terrible.
Yeah.
No, they're not terrible. I've asked something impossible. So
Yeah.
finding ways to kind of like adjust those expectations, make those decisions so that your team can succeed. And whether that's a second and there's a PA that's bringing you a battery, or if you let them touch batteries, if you're, But that kind of continuing on all the way through that tree, and eventually, if you're going to go all the way be a director or a producer, like that's really the heart of what it is. Like, are you removing barriers so your team can succeed, so we can pull off this thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, preparing them is exactly right. I mean, there's going to be situations where, even on the simplest things, like we're going to shoot in the inside of a house all day. Well, do I need to bring a cart? Do I not need to bring a cart? Can I get away with just AC power, or do I need to bring this many batteries? Like those kinds of things, you can make it easier on them to not have to worry about, and explain things to them, communicate with them, give them a better sense of like what they're walking into that day, of this is what we're going to be doing. We can expect this camera change. We can expect that camera change, and we're going to do this, but then know that even though we're going to make this big change here, it's okay because I've already fought for the schedule to be this way, like all those kinds of things. So I think as I get to where I'm at now, like I spend way more time thinking about communication and thinking about like pre-production, how I'm planning and preparing, how I'm going to communicate that to my team, because that's what is going to make the day go smooth. Yeah. I mean, I think there's great value in coming from the AC world. I mean, or the lighting world. There's DPs that come from the lighting world. But, like I said, not that you can't just jump in there, buy a camera, and say you're a DP and be successful. Of course you can. But I think you're doing a disservice to yourself on the things you can learn from others.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Man, Diego, thank you. This has been awesome.
Thank
This
you
has been
guys.
fun. Thanks, everybody, for coming. You're welcome to hang out. We have demos set up. We've got the Mia robot over here with some stuff. We've got the studio is open. The LED wall is on if you want to check it out. Feel free to come pester me and Diego and anybody else you can find with any questions. We're all here to hang out. Go eat all those donuts before I get to them, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.